Welcome to my video on how to use sacred geometry and holistic design principles to help bring more harmony and peace to your autistic child's bedroom. I've been studying how architects use sacred geometry in their buildings for some years, and I met a woman with an autistic child who was interested in applying these principles. We set about using many of the ideas shown on the video with the intention of bringing a bit more harmony and peace to the home. We were surprised that it had quite a significant effect. Very shortly after following through with these processes, he was able to open up and cry, which was quite significant. There are 12 ideas in total, and I've kept them as simple as possible and as affordable as possible. I would suggest trying to do all of them, and I'm sure that you'll find that it does have a beneficial effect. Number 1, declutter and tidy again, but I'd like you to take it to a higher level. So in this photograph on the top left, this is a reasonably tidy cupboard, and then we've taken on the bottom right the same cupboard and tidied it again. What I'd like you to do is you're going to declutter everything in the room, but I'd like you to go inside all the wardrobes and drawers and closets, and we're going to declutter and tidy as thoroughly as we can inside. Let me add a few more things. If we zoom in here, I would take this top here and move it across and put it probably here, so then we get a nice line down like that. I'd probably move this object just to the left, maybe leave a little bit of space and move this to the right. So there's a bit of space here on the end. Whatever that is, line that up so it's nice and symmetrical with that box. The teddy's just slightly to the right here, so let's move the teddy across so it's nice and centered. This shirt here is a bit taller than the rest, so I'd move that along the end here so we have a nice line all the way along here. And I'd probably tidy these so they hang nice and straight. So think of it as a luxury, expensive, high-end store, and everything is to be as immaculate as possible. Number 2, dust and clean and dust again. This closely relates to number 1, which is our decluttering suggestion. What I'm concerned with here is the dust. Dust holds a positive charge, which is detrimental. So all the dust needs to go, and that includes inside every wardrobe, every drawer, maybe under the bed, on top of the door, all around the window. Go through this as thoroughly as you can. Number 3, tuning the room. This is closely related to exercise number 1, but I'd like to take this to another level. If I just tell you a quick story, I was working with a clairvoyant a few years ago, and we were on a Zoom call, and she's on the call, she's just sitting there in an armchair, and we're talking about something. That evening after the call, I had a dream, and in the dream, I kept looking at the arm of the chair, and I kept wanting to say to her, you have to move the chair forward by a couple of centimetres. And the dream was just all about just move the chair forward. I didn't really understand what it meant. When I next spoke to her, I told her what the dream was about, and asked her, and she said, "Oh, that's about tuning the room." And the idea is that every object which is movable in the room has an optimum position, and that position might be just a tiny fraction, a few millimetres, a few centimetres from where it is currently located. So think of it as every object being an instrument in an orchestra, and you need to go around and tune every instrument, so it means moving it left or right or back and forward, perhaps even rotating it. So In the case of the chair here, that chair would need to be turned around so that it's directly centered on the desk. I would probably leave a little gap, so if the table is here, I'd have the chair just slightly away from the table. Leave a little gap here, and then center it. And then we look at the table, and does the table move this way slightly, or does it move the other direction slightly? If it's close to the center of a wall, make sure it's absolutely dead center, so there's nice symmetry. So that's tuning the room. That's a very important exercise, and really that can be carried out during the process. And again, it's something that should be revisited as the room is used over time. Things get shuffled around, and you need to go back and retune everything. Number 4, sacred geometry flowers. For items 4, 5 and 6, we'll be inserting sacred geometry codes and numbers into the bedroom. If you think of the idea that we live in a holographic universe, that universe is created by a long string of computer code. So what we're doing here is by inserting geometry and number, we're modifying the code. We're adding harmonious codes and numbers. In this case, with the flowers, this will be the secret chord from the song Hallelujah, which will be a minor fourth and a major fifth, which is embedded in the numbers that we're using. So let's begin with the vases. If you look closely at these, we need a vesica-shaped vase, or you can buy glasses which are the same, which are a little bit cheaper and smaller. So what this does is it creates a pattern of overlapping circles. So in this case they're on a piece of furniture, but the best place to put them is on the windowsill. So you clear absolutely everything off the windowsill and put the vases on the windowsill. Next we select the flowers. So we're going to have a pattern of 5 flowers on the left vase, 6 in the centre and 5 on the right. I would choose the flowers to be soft pastel colours. The colours I find work best are either white flowers or salmon flowers, and roses seem to work best for me, but just choose whatever suits you. But generally pick soft colours. Okay, then fill the vases with water. If you can do this, make this 5 units high, this one's 6 units high, and this one 5 units high. So you need to get a ruler and measure vertically to where the water stops. So what you could do is let's say fill 5 inches with the one on the left, and then fill 6 inches the one in the middle, and then 5 again with the one on the left. Just measuring vertically from the base up to the top of the water. Next I would find some pebbles or stones, and I would put 3 in here on the left, 8 in the middle, and 3. So these are just sitting in the water at the bottom. And then finally, we need the distance. So find the absolute centre of the window, and then you measure this distance here should be 31.7 centimetres. So it's just over a foot, and the same here. So this distance here is 31.7. Number 5, Working with solfeggio numbers. So many of you will be familiar with solfeggio numbers. These were discovered in recent times, a few decades ago, by a Bible scholar. And these are triplets of numbers, which are three numbers. So we have 741, 963, 852. So there are 9 numbers, and they're all variations on these three numbers, which we can see are triangles within a circle of 9. So in our case, what we're going to be doing is working with the red triangle. So we're going to take the vectors, which are the numbers on the end of just a single line. So if we start with 1 and 7, and then the next vector will be 7 and 4, and the last one will be 4 and 1. And then we're going to put a 3 on the front. So in the flower exercise, we use this number, 317. We use 31.7 centimetres. The idea with this exercise is that we work with these numbers here, 317, 374 and 341. And we use them anywhere and everywhere, and we can vary the measurement. So we could use 3.17 inches. We could use 31.7 inches, or 31.7 centimetres, or 3.17 centimetres, and so on. So the hologram doesn't mind. As long as it sees the number 317, it will register that number in the hologram, and that will refer back to solfeggio numbers. So let's give an example. So if we have the bedroom here, say the door is here, and the bed is here, we'd be working with this distance here. So let's take the number 374, and we're going to make that, let's say it's 37.4 inches. So there's enough room between the bed for a bedside table here, and this number here will be 37.4 inches. We can work with doubling, so we can have 37.4, we can double that, which would be 748, 74.8 inches. So you need to choose the number so it's close enough to the dimension you want. Otherwise, you don't really want the bed ending up tucked up against the wall, because you can only use 37.4 inches. So doubling is fine. Doubling is really just a higher octave of the same number. The idea is use this number everywhere you can. Number 6, working with horizontality. In this idea, we're going to be drawing a band of colour around the room to give an overwhelming sense of horizontality. You could also think of this as horizontality is magnetic and vertical is electric, so we want to emphasise the magnetic, and which is the female. So we start the band away from the corner. We draw it around the room, and we cut down and around any door openings or window openings. So the line, it doesn't go into a corner, doesn't stop on a corner or start on a corner, but it can go through the corner. So let's choose a colour here. I would suggest just a very slightly darker tone. Always darker, not lighter. And then we're going to use the numbers that we used in our last lecture: 317, 341, 374. So if we want to set out the vertical height of it. So I would suggest you could do 317, and this height here could be, we could add 341 and 374 and make that the height of the actual band. It could be other ways of doing it. You could just do 317 and then double 374. But it is generally quite good to have the top of the line about 3/8 of the height of the room. Often ceilings are 8 feet high, and we have data rails and other features are 3 feet high. So, but use the numbers that I've given here to work to. And then we look at let's say the bed is here. We want the band of colour to stick beyond that. And again, we can look at the dimension here and perhaps make that, say, 374 or double that. And let's say there's a carpet on the floor here. We position that carpet from the end of the bed, one of these numbers down here, or a double of that, or one of those numbers. A more advanced version of the band of colour would be some kind of wooden seating, which runs along, and on that you can fix maybe some cushions, maybe some artwork, or even some flowers. But don't make it too cluttered.